Well, welcome everybody back to the Figure Kit Garage, fellow resin heads and kit builders. Brent Krug back with another out-of-the-box review. The kit on the table is produced by a gentleman by the name of Marc Havican and his company, Filmy's Girls. Now, Filmy's Girls has been around for about 10 years now, and he has produced some of the best looking female figure kits out there. The designs are more pinup based, and apart from looking incredibly beautiful, they're also very stylish, and if I may say so, a few of them also quite sexy, to be honest. The kits that he's produced over the last 10 years, I'll give you a quick couple references: Freya, Nefertiti, Aurora, and Aurora 2.0, Stella, Daphne, which was the first Filmy's girl ever produced, and many others. Oh, Pebbles. How could I forget Pebbles? So at this year's Wonderfest in Louisville, Kentucky, he unveiled 3 busts that were going to make their debut. And these busts are based on the figure kits that preceded them: Daphne, Aurora 2.0, and Stella. Now, for those of us who couldn't attend the show, he was making 10 copies of each bust available at $125 each. So I decided to jump on getting Aurora 2.0 and Stella. And I gotta say, and this is not the first Filmy's Girls kit that I bought. I believe it was back in either 2017 or 2018. I had the pleasure of meeting Marc at Monsterpalooza up in Burbank. And sadly, I got to his table a little bit too late because the only copies of any kits he had left were Pearl and Pebbles. So I walked out of Monsterpalooza that year with a copy of Pebbles, which I still have unbuilt to this day. So this kit is the bust of Aurora 2.0. She is in 7 pieces. Now this kit was digitally sculpted by Daniele Danko Angelozzi, who I have reviewed kits that he has sculpted in the past. And every time I see one of his current kits, his talent keeps getting better for digital sculpting. So she is 7 pieces, 5 that are resin cast, 1 3D printed, 1 wire for the airbrush hose, and 1 decal sheet. And to look at this, it's a 1/5 scale bust. And I gotta say, I really love the presentation of this piece. And we'll go over all the parts and pieces, starting with the base, the torso, and Aurora's head, which has her looking slightly over her right shoulder. Very little in the way of cleanup to be done, but the digital sculpt and the final piece cast in resin are absolutely beautiful. And there will be a seam line around the edge of her neck that will have to be filled and blended in. Just a little bit of caution used to blend that and make it look perfect. But the base itself is definitely creative because she's a kit builder. Why not have a base surrounded with bottles of paint and paint running down the side? Really, really creative base to go along with the character, and it fits perfectly. And she is solid cast, not very heavy, not very big either. To be perfectly honest, if I can find my ruler, should be able to measure this across. Altogether, we're looking at 2 2 1/8 inches across. This is not a shelf queen in any way, shape, or form. I have seen people's collections of these busts that they don't take up a lot of room, and that's something that you know, I really have to hand a lot of high praise to Marc for is for busts these size, they could be a lot bigger, but and with more elaborate bases, but he went with a simpler style, and it works. Even got a paint bottle with the cap removed. So we'll go ahead and put her head back on, and then her right arm, and she does have a little hole in her shoulder where that dragon is going to go, but really well done. Fingernails excellently captured. And this is more of a comic style bust than a realistic version of a person, which is not a bad thing. Teaches you how to paint in a different style, and she will have another hole in the back of her right arm to where the other dragon's foot is going to sit. So we're going to go ahead and do a partial assembly on her with some Quake putty here. And there won't be any seam work between the arm and the rest of her body, although there's a gap because of the putty that I'm using to put her together. But, you know, doesn't take up a whole lot of room. Now her left arm and hand have the airbrush gun molded into it. Really fantastic idea, which has a little hole down here at the bottom of the handle for this piece of wire that once you trim it, it's going to have to be glued in, and that'll be your airbrush hose. So really nice idea, and that wire is bendable. You'll be able to pose it any way you want for where you want the wire to go. But really excellent detail. Trigger molded onto her left finger. Really nicely done. And then the rest of the airbrush, I'll assemble this right now. Will fit just like that in the cradle of the hand grip. There won't be any seam work for that trigger mechanism at all because it's behind her finger, so you'll never see it. But really beautifully engineered piece. Have to do a little bit of careful hand painting around any skin tones you paint, but it looks fantastic. Absolutely love the concept of this. The original Aurora came with different model kits, dragon, I believe a car, and a tank. And that kit, sadly, Virginia and I both wanted, but it's been sold out for quite a long time now. And even the Aurora 2.0, I believe, is becoming hard to come by. But fully assembled without the hose, this is what Aurora will look like. Really beautiful concept. A female figure kit builder that gets her own model because she likes to make models. You can't beat that. And then the dragon, which is completely 3D printed, still on the supports to keep it safe during shipping. All the little scale detail along the tail and around the body, and he'll perch on her shoulder. But really, really beautifully done. Could not be any more pleased with the idea of this. And to be brutally honest, for those who have never done a kit like this, that little dragon would have been beyond nightmarish to try and sculpt by hand and cast by hand. It'd be practically impossible to do something that small with these tiny, thin little wings with that much detail. The magic of 3D printing and digital sculpting are making things like this possible now. And at first I was a little resistant to it, but now that with some of the kits that I have that have 3D printed pieces, I agree with its inclusion into the hobby because it makes things a lot easier for producers and as well for us as kit builders. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having 3D printed parts and a fully cast resin kit that was also digitally sculpted and 3D printed, but turned into a solid cast resin kit. It comes full circle. And to go on the paint bottles, you have this wonderful set of peel and stick decal sheets. These are not water slide, in 5 different colors: Charge Green, Daphne Purple, Nefertiti Gold, Stella Blue, and Freya Red. Gee whiz. Wonder where he got the idea for the paint names. Nice one, Mark. Really nice. Health and safety warnings and everything else on the labeling. Hopefully you guys can see that all right. But really, really nice. All in all, Aurora 2.0 as a bust kit is absolutely amazing. The fact that he's still producing these kits after he sells out so many at Wonderfest. And like I said, even my chance to meet him at Monsterpalooza, he had very few left, and that was on the Saturday that I was there at the show. So the fact that I was able to get a copy of Pebbles, I consider myself very lucky. So this is Aurora 2.0 in 1/5 scale. I'm going to put her away very carefully and very patiently, and I'm going to bring out the other kit that I'm doing a review on, Stella the Space Girl, which I think is a fantastic looking bust and a nice complement to the original 1/5 scale figure kit. So stick around, we'll be right back. All right, we are back with the second of the busts that I'm doing the review on, and this is going to be Stella. Now, Stella is based on Will Hughes' comic art version of the first 10 Filmy's Girls kits. She comes in 10 pieces total, 4 3D printed, and 6 resin cast parts. And much like Aurora, her base is very unique to the character. See little stars, planets, along with this little UFO piece that'll plug in right here. And again, print support's still connected to the 3D printed pieces to make sure they're secure during shipping. With smoke from the rocket that'll attach right in the front, just like that. Blends in practically with no putty work needed, especially on the smoke. Really, really beautiful. And the 2 fins, as well as the tip of the nose for the rocket, will have to be glued on separately. But all in all, the concept of this bust for Stella, really wonderful. I think it's what really drew me to it. Her retro space uniform, really, really kick-ass. It's what made me like the original 1/5 scale figure that they did. Wrecking her spaceship and hitchhiking her way across the galaxy, trying to get to where she's going. But really, really beautiful sculpt. And then the hair and the face. Now, there will be a little bit of seam line work in the hair to be done. She's got a lot more hair than Aurora does. But still, nonetheless, incredibly beautiful piece. Mr. Angelozzi did a wonderful job of capturing the essence of the character, even in a tuned up pinup style all the way around. Really wonderful work. She does have one extra bit of hair that will snap in across the top, just like that. Long locks flowing in the space breeze, or whatever you want to call it, space winds. And go ahead and attach her head in the rocket. We can see what she looks like overall completed. Rocket in there. Her head's going to be a little bit more difficult to sit on there the right way. Really amazing piece. Love it to death. And her left arm and her retro style futuristic ray gun coils around the barrel end of the gun. Really beautiful overall. Her space gloves. This looks absolutely amazing. I mean, if you were lucky enough to get one of these pieces, you know what I'm talking about when I say that a Filmy's Girls kit is worth every penny you pay. Since I've, with Pebbles, I can't remember how much I paid for her back at the time when I got her, but I know it was well worth the price. And anybody else out there that has bought one or has even the entire collection of Filmy's Girls kits can back that up. They are so worth it because they're just beautifully, tastefully done, and worth showing off to anybody that walks in your house or your hobby room. And then her right hand clenched in a fist. Again, that futuristic retro, which is one of the, I guess you could say, nicknames or call signs or whatever, or alternate taglines for a Filmy's Girls kit, futuristic retro. But this is Stella in all her glory. Try to bring her closer to the camera without anything falling apart. Just beautiful all the way around. If you were lucky enough to get your hands on one of these and you weren't able to go to Wonderfest, my hat's off to you for jumping on this, because this is a kit you didn't want to miss out on. As far as availability of any of the full figure kits or any of the busts that were produced to complement those figure kits, I'm going to leave Marc Havican's contact information through the Filmy's Girls Facebook page down in the comments section below. Like I said, these kits are so popular at Wonderfest, they sell out within hours of the doors opening, even less than that on some occasions. So as I said, contact Marc if you're interested in either Aurora or Daphne in bust form. See what he has available in full figure kit form. Most of his figure kits are done in 1/6 scale, and a few others have been done in 1/5. I know Stella was done in 1/5. But my hat's off to Daniele Angelozzi for the sculpt and translating the figure kit to the tuned up bust the way that he did. Complements it really, really well for the figure, and as well as for Aurora. Hats off to taking the original Aurora figure kit, going to Aurora 2.0, and then translating that into a bust. And one of the things I want to show before I end this is the beautiful box art that came with these two kits. That's why I cut the boxes from the bottom. Here you have Aurora, 1/5 scale bust. Sorry about the glare. You know, just amazing box art that it comes with. And then Stella. Really gorgeous. Again, I want to say thank you to Marc Havican and everybody over at Filmy's Girls for making these busts available for us that could not attend Louisville Wonderfest. It's a rare opportunity when you get your hands on a piece like this that, you know, at some point, if you're not at the show and the offering isn't made on Facebook as he did, you're going to miss out on something special. So I'm really glad I jumped on this. As well, I want to say thank you to all my subscribers that have stuck with me through it all. I know it's been a while since my last kit review, and I apologize for that. We've had some personal things going on, and this may be it may be a while before I do another review or another work in progress video series. I'm anticipating a move more by necessity than by choice. So I'm going to be backing off from doing reviews and doing work in progress videos for a while until I can get set back up. But I want to say thank you for everybody that stuck with me. I can't believe it's been 7 years since I started the Figure Kit Garage. April of 2018 was the first video that I ever did, and it's been a wonderful ride ever since. Also, check out Model Club TV, Jason Walker, Scott Johansson. They will have a live show coming up, I believe it's toward the end of the month. Unfortunately, I won't be able to watch it because it's being done on a day that I work. But, oh well. And that's pretty much it for this review. This has been Aurora 2.0 and Stella. 1/5 scale busts, sculpted by Daniele, Danko, Angelozzi, produced by Marc Havican for his company, Filmy's Girls. This has been the Figure Kit Garage. Everybody stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. Keep building kits.